Alright, shalom, shalom, shalom. I want to give all praises to Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim, Rakah, Kadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well, and peace and salutations to the Akim out there spreading this truth like wildfire in all truthfulness and in all sincerity. Alright, got this, got several things for y'all. Got this post right here. Operation Sandman has now been activated with Saudi Minister of Finance Mohammed Al-Hadan telling Bloomberg TV during WEF Davos interview that the Saudis will gladly accept all currencies for settling oil transactions, reported by oilprice.com. The foundational pillar of U.S. global currency dominance and its ability to export inflation to the world is based off the so-called petrodollar status, in which the U.S. agreed to protect the corrupt Saudi kingdom in exchange for the Saudis demanding U.S. dollars for all oil transaction agreements. This agreement has been in place since the Bretton Woods Conference in 1944 and has carried the dollar until today. I hope you're ready for the planned economic collapse. Yeah, this is bad news she said this is bad news for the USD, U.S. economy, U.S. national debt. Very bad. They will have a solution with a government-controlled CBDC. There's something else that I'm gonna show y'all just in case y'all don't know what Operation Sandman is, or Project Sandman is. Same thing, right? Just in case you don't know what it is.
Sell-off of at least $2 billion in treasuries, which will collapse. Okay, so so Project Sandman. I'm just gonna read this a little bit. I'm just gonna read something here. Project Sandman is a coordinated attack planned by the BRICS countries on the United States. The kill shot is going to include a coordinated sell-off of at least $2+ trillion in treasuries, which will collapse the United States debt market, followed by the stock market shortly thereafter.
Wow.
These events will freeze the U.S. economy and obliterate the value of all fiat U.S. dollar-denominated assets. Most of the trigger conditions for Sandman trigger have already been met. One of them was the petrodollar abdication, basically Saudi Arabia no longer requiring the dollar to buy oil. Another one is basically tensions between the United States and Russia and China. With the outstanding requirement would be an operational BRICS reserve currency. Basically, once the BRICS reserve currency comes online, then all of these things get met, and all these treasuries come back in the United States, and it happens like on a Sunday night, and then Monday morning, our way of life as we know it is over.
Finished. And hold up, I got something else for y'all.
Venezuela's President Maduro is applying for Venezuela to join the BRICS group, which includes Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. BRICS focuses on cooperation among developing nations. Venezuela's goal is to leverage its massive oil reserves to contribute to the BRICS Energy Commission. China and Russia support Venezuela's aspiration. The upcoming BRICS summit will address potential new members with discussions about expanding the group's membership and integration. BRICS has gained attention from around 30 countries interested in joining, reflecting its growing global influence.
Yeah, because Russia, the bear, is being a guard unto all these countries, man. And they noticed that Russia could be a guard, so that's why they joined it. Before, they'd be scared because Esau, well, Babylonian Edomites, because the Russians are Edomites for the most part too. Even though you have a lot of our people scattered among them, the Russians for the most part are Edomites. So, especially the ruling class. So, what was I gonna say? So now, it's like since these countries was able to stand up, like Syria was able to stand up against the U.S. with the help of Russia, and now Niger is able to stand up against the U.S. And North Korea with their weapons. Russia's helping North Korea with their nukes. There's evidence of that. Just like because North Korea helped Russia with weapons for the war for that war in Ukraine. So basically, the these other countries, they're figuring out that hey, if Russia can be a guard to these countries, then maybe I can stand up to the big bad bully, Babylon, the hammer of the whole earth, and I can stop having to use dollars the way they want me to, the way they want us to. And it's more and more countries. Hey, let me join up with BRICS so that so that we don't gotta listen to what Babylon gotta say anymore. We don't gotta be afraid of the big bad bully on the block. And it's kind of comparable to when the Soviets, they didn't roll on those countries that was taking sides with NATO basically, and they was overthrowing the old communist regime. They was gonna be with NATO. Basically, that was the plan, but they didn't say that was the plan back then, but that was the plan. But anyways, those countries stood up to the Soviets and they didn't do shit. They didn't do shit under Gorbachev. And you basically seen, hey, you seeing the same sort of shit happen to Babylon. And of course, that was all directed by the global elite, what happened back then, right? That was directed by Esau, Edom, by the Amalekites and shit, ultimately. But, hey, they're trying to bring in that digital dollar, so ultimately this is hey, the global elites are for this too. They're orchestrating this as well. Ultimately, the elites of Esau are orchestrating this. Why? So they can roll out that CBDC as a solution. One solution, right? We know how these devils do. They 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 go by order out of chaos. But still, these countries are still standing up to Babylon. You have to look at that fact. More and more of them are standing up to Babylon. Hammer of the hammer of the earth. Let me get that before I get into this. Jeremiah 50 and 23. How is the hammer of the whole earth cut asunder and broken? Hold on, Akim. Man, this is bullshit. Hold on. Satan fucking with me. And I can't go back, I have to go to history. I have to do it this way. Currently offline. Satan is fucking with my internet, Akim. Fuck. Fuck. Let me switch this off. Let me see how it does. Fuck. Satan is entering. Slack y'all can. Alright, there you go. Jeremiah 50 and 23. How is the hammer of the whole earth cut asunder and broken? How has Babylon become a desolation among the nations? Ultimately, these countries, they're gonna shoot the nuclear missiles on this place, man. They're gonna be armed with these nuclear missiles, and they're gonna shoot them at this place. Revelation 18. Let me get this right here, man. Isaiah 13 and 17. Behold, I will stir up the Medes against them, which shall not regard silver, and as for gold, they shall not delight in it. Verse 18. Their bows also shall dash the young men to pieces, and they shall have no pity, Salakia, on the fruit of the womb. Their eyes shall not spare children. Verse 19. Babylon, the glory of kingdoms, the beauty of the Chaldees' excellency, shall be as when the Most High Power Yahweh overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah. Verse 20. It shall never be inhabited, neither shall it be dwelt in from generation to generation. Neither shall the Arabian pitch tent there, neither shall the shepherds make their fold there. Verse 21. But wild beasts of the desert shall lie there, and their houses shall be full of doleful creatures, and owls shall dwell there, and satyrs shall dance there. Verse 22. And the wild beasts of the island shall cry in the desolate houses, and dragons in the pleasant palaces. And their time is near to come, and their days shall not be prolonged. Let me get hold on. It's like I can. Jeremiah 50 and 39. Therefore the wild beasts of the desert with the wild beasts of the island shall dwell there, and the owls shall dwell there, and there shall be no more inhabited forever. Neither shall be dwelt in from generation to generation. Verse 40. As the Most High Power Yahweh overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah, and the neighbor cities thereof, saith Yahweh, so shall no man abide there, neither shall any son of man dwell there. Verse 21. Behold, a people shall come from the north, and a great nation, and many kings shall be raised up from the coasts of the earth. Verse 42. They shall hold the bow and the lance, they are cruel, and will not show mercy. Their voice shall roar like the sea, and they shall ride upon horses, everyone put in array like a man to the battle against thee, O daughter of Babylon. So this place is going to be overthrown like Sodom and Gomorrah and the neighbor cities thereof. And let me get this article because this is another important fulfillment. Well, it is sort of a fulfillment. It's not a complete fulfillment yet, but it's a step. I would say actually scratch that. It's a step towards a fulfillment of the prophecy in Second Esdras about the Carmanians, which are the Iranians, and the dragons of Arabia teaming up. And I got this right here. Iran-Saudi deal is a nightmare for Israel, the U.S., and the world. Opinion. Any diplomatic venture that includes Iran is extremely dangerous for Israel and the region. Iran cannot be trusted. Iran is not a responsible party to any agreement, and these 48ers are real shook. Remember that prophecy about the least of the flock getting Babylon involved in the war. In World War III, man. Dragging them into World War III. There are diplomatic liaisons and talks taking place that have me alarmed. The United States and Israel should be seriously worried about the renewal of talks and the building of relationships between Iran and Saudi Arabia. The United States and Israel should also be very concerned about China's involvement with Iran and Saudi Arabia. But is this newly burgeoning relationship between Iran and Saudi Arabia that is sending shivers down my spine? They're shook right now. Iran and Saudi Arabia, longtime nemesis and expert gamers when it comes to international diplomacy. Saudi Arabia is simultaneously engaged in diplomatic liaison with Iran and engaged in navigating a U.S. brokered deal between their country and Israel. Not just any deal, this would be a deal that includes the resolution of the decades-old, until now unsolvable Palestinian-Israeli issue, a deal that would presumably involve some sort of Palestinian statehood or independence. Any diplomatic venture that includes Iran is extremely dangerous for Israel and the region. Iran cannot be, the so-called Israel, right? Iran cannot be trusted. The so-called, the 48ers, right? Them people in our land, they're shook. They're saying Iran cannot be trusted. Iran is not a responsible party to any agreement. This axiom is essential. And basically, they're like, these countries used to fight with each other, man. Iran and Saudi Arabia used to beef, right? Using proxies. Basically, there's doctrinal differences in Islam between the two of them, but they're able to put that behind each other. Iran foreign minister Hossein Amir Abdullah recently visited Saudi Arabia. That's having them shook. According to the press reports, their meetings were productive. His office reported that the meetings were to lead up to normalizing diplomatic relations between the nations. This recent visit was part two of face-to-face negotiations between Iran and Saudi Arabia. Part one took place in June when Saudi Prince Faisal visited Tehran and met with the Iranian leadership. There is no love between these two countries. They have been on opposite sides of the conflicts in Syria, Yemen, and Iraq. That's because they was doing that on behalf of the U.S. and the 48ers. That was why. The most recent derision came on January 3rd, 2016, when Saudi Arabia pulled its ambassador and closed its embassy in Iran. The move followed the January 2 Saudi execution of the Saudi-born Shiite cleric Sheikh Amir. In response, Iranians rioted and burned the Saudi embassy in Tehran. Previous year, during the Hajj in Mecca, a swollen stampede resulted in the deaths of over 2,000 Iranian Shiites who were making the pilgrimage. The Saudi prince at the time blamed the Iranians and suggested barring them from all future pilgrimages. This year, for the first time in 8 years, Iranians were permitted to return and participate in the Hajj. It was a test that Iran passed with flying colors. And today, the Saudis are hoping that Iran will endorse Riyadh's bid to host Expo 2030. Iran has many reasons for wanting to normalize relations with Saudi Arabia, as they're saying their goal, they want all Muslims to unite under their leadership and yada yada yada, and it could be. It could be, or maybe Saudi Arabia is deciding to take Russia and China's side over Babylon and the 48ers because they're tired of listening to them. This shit reloading on me. For Israel, that alliance would be disastrous. Okay, it's still good. So for the 48ers that are calling themselves the Israelis that are not Israelites, their alliance will be disastrous. Not Israelites, but Edomites. Their alliance will be disastrous. That brings me to another prophecy. That is being fulfilled. And this place is spiritually Assyria. Keep that in mind. Let me get Ezra's chapter 13. It's either in this one or it's in chapter 15. Probably 15. Yeah, Khan. Second Ezra chapter 15 verse 28. Behold a horrible vision and the appearance thereof from the east. Verse 29, when the nations of the dragons of Arabia shall come out with many chariots, and the multitude of them shall be carried as the wind upon earth, that all they that which hear them may fear and tremble. Verse 30, also the Carmanians raging in wrath shall go forth as the wild boars of the woods, and with great power shall they come, and join battle with them, and shall waste a portion of the land of the Assyrians. Verse 31, and then shall the dragons have their upper hand, remembering their nature, and if they shall turn themselves, conspiring together in great power to persecute them. And this how you make sense of this prophecy is you gotta keep in mind that Babylon, or the ancient Babylonians and the ancient Assyrians, also keep this in mind. This is how this place is spiritually Assyria, because it's called a daughter of the Chaldees, right? Now, the Chaldees, they ruled Assyria, and they also ended up ruling the Babylonian Empire, the Neo-Babylonian Empire. And so, the Chaldeans they're like the elites, okay, of those days, and they were the priestly class of those days. So like, and they were the elites as well. They were the so-called wise men of of the Assyrian and the Babylonian Empire. Now Esau's compared to them because, you know, they're ruling because them ruling is also based on enchantments and, you know, deception, and them pushing that. They also make that boast that, oh, they're the ones, they're the illuminated ones. Like, that's why they're called Chaldeans, like spiritually the Chaldeans, because the Chaldeans would also say the same thing about themselves, that they're the illuminated ones, they're the wise men of that empire, basically. But anyways, also there's a lot of similarities between this Assyrian Empire, between the, well, Salakia, between the ancient Assyrian Empire and America. Like, for one, the oppression of the Northern Kingdom, along the oppression of the Northern Kingdom. Both kingdoms are oppressed here. So it's not like ancient Babylon and ancient Assyria, but it's like both of them. It's like ancient Babylon and ancient Assyria. And that's why it's compared to them. And also because a lot of similarities, like they promoted whoredom over there in ancient Assyria, especially towards the end of that empire. They promoted it so much that the king, you know, he was basically a Mo, and he dressed as a woman, and he was more of a freak than even the females of that nation, of that empire. Even the Assyrian females. I learned that from Elder Yashamambo, Remnant Saved 144. It's either called that or Remnant Saved 144 by his channel. But yeah, this place is spiritually Assyria. Yeah, but they shall waste a portion of the land of the Assyrians. Verse 31, then shall the dragons have the upper hand, remembering their nature, and if they shall turn themselves together. Their nature, what is the nature of Ishmael? What is the nature of Ishmael? Let me do it this way. Okay, I misspelled it. It's spelled different. That's why I couldn't find it like that. Genesis 16 and 11. And the angel of Yahweh said unto her, behold, thou art with child, and shalt bear a son, and shalt call his name Ishmael, because Yahweh hath heard thy affliction. Verse 12, and he will be a wild man, and his hand will be against every man, and every man's hand against him, and he shall dwell in the presence of all his brethren. That clearly fits the so-called Arabs today, and that's their nature. So verse 31, then shall the dragons have the upper hand, remembering their nature, and if they shall turn themselves conspiring together in great power to persecute them. And it goes on to basically describe World War III, but in their own, but like in an allegorical type way. And how this, how Babylon, aka Assyria, aka spiritual Assyria, aka spiritual Sodom and Egypt, will be drawn into this war. Verse Jeremiah 50, verse 43, the king of Babylon has heard the report of them, and his hands waxed feeble. Anguish took hold of him, and pangs as of a woman in travail. Verse 44, behold, he shall come up like a lion from the swelling of Jordan, unto the habitation of the strong, but I will make them suddenly run away from her. And who is the chosen man that I may appoint over her? For who is like me, and who will appoint me the time, and who is that shepherd that will stand before me? Verse 45, therefore hear ye the counsel of Yahweh that he hath taken against Babylon, and his purposes that he hath proposed against the land of the Chaldeans. Surely the least of the flock shall draw them out. Surely he shall make their habitation desolate with them. Verse 46, at the noise of the taking of Babylon, the earth is moved. And the cry is heard among the nations. Yeah, the least of the flock. And it says the same thing about Esau. Jeremiah 49:16, thy terribleness hath deceived thee, and the pride of thine heart, O thou that dwellest in the clefts of the rock, that holdest the height of the hill, though thou shalt make thy nest as high as the eagle, I will bring thee down from thence, saith Yahweh. Verse 17, also Edom shall be a desolation, everyone that goeth by it shall be astonished, and shall hiss at all the plagues thereof. Verse 18, as in the overthrow of Sodom and Gomorrah, and the neighbor cities thereof, saith Yahweh, no man shall abide there, neither shall a son of man dwell in it. Verse 19, behold, he shall come up like a lion from the swelling of Jordan, against the habitation of the strong, but I will suddenly make him run away from her, who shows the man that I'll appoint over her. For who is like me? For who will appoint me the time? And who is that shepherd that will stand before me? Verse 20, therefore hear the counsel of Yahweh that he hath taken against Edom, and his purposes that he hath proposed against the inhabitants of Teman. Surely the least of the flock shall draw them out. Surely he shall make their habitations desolate with them. Verse 21, the earth is moved at the noise of the fall. At the cry the noise thereof was heard in the Red Sea. God. Showing you that Esau rules this modern day Babylon. Says the same thing about both. Pretty much the same thing. Also, there's this. Wait, never mind. Hold on. Yo, That's what I was looking for. Yo. Isaiah 34:4, also how this is going to happen. And all the hosts of heaven shall be dissolved, and the heavens shall roll together as a scroll describing the nuclear blast. And all their hosts shall fall together as the leaves fall off from the vine, as a fallen fig from the fig tree. For my sword shall be bathed in heaven, and it shall come down upon Idumea and upon all the people of my curse to judgment. Verse 6, the sword of Yahweh is filled with blood. It is made fat with fatness, and with the blood of lambs and goats, with the fat of the kidneys of rams. For Yahweh hath sacrificed in Basra, the great slaughter, the land of Idumea. Verse 7, and the unicorn shall come down with them, and that just means rams when you look into it. And the bullocks with the bulls, and the land shall be soaked with blood, and the dust made fat with fatness. Verse 8, for it is the day of Yahweh's vengeance, and the year of recompenses for the controversy of Zion. Verse 9, and the streams shall be turned into pitch, and the dust thereof into brimstone, and the land thereof shall become burning pitch. It's talking about America, the place where Basra, which is modern day Basra, man. Verse 10, it shall not be quenched day nor night, the smoke thereof shall go forever. From generation to generation it shall lie waste, none shall pass through it forever and ever. Verse 11, the cormorant and the bittern shall possess it, the owl also and the raven shall dwell in it, and ye shall dwell upon it, the line of confusion and the stones of emptiness. You won't know where one state was. You won't be able to tell, like, the borders of the states. So all this is going to lead to your downfall, Esau. The cormorant and the bittern also shall possess it. The owl also and the raven shall dwell in it. He shall stretch out upon the line of confusion and the stones of emptiness. And it says the same thing about Babylon. Notice that. Verse 12, they shall call the nobles thereof to the kingdom, but none shall be there, and all her princes shall be nothing. Verse 13, the thorns shall come up in her palaces, nettles and brambles in the forests thereof, and they shall be an habitation for dragons, like snakes and shit. Well, as well as literal Leviathan is probably. Leviathan's in the water though, so never mind. And a court for owls. So it's talking about probably snakes and other reptiles. Verse 14, the wild beasts of the desert shall also meet, with the wild beasts of the island, and the satyr shall cry to his fellow. The screech owl also shall rest there, and find for herself a place of rest. Verse 15. There shall the great owl make her nest, and lay and hatch, and gather under her shadow. There shall the vultures also be gathered, everyone with her mate. Thru. Place is finished. And this is the lead up to it. Now, what's going to come out of that, how it's going to affect the economy, is famines. Matthew 24, because that's the end. What's the beginning of sorrows? Matthew 24 and 8 and 7. Start there. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. And there shall be famines and pestilences and earthquakes in divers places. Then we have that. Then we have, ain't they saying that, and I know it's probably, just like the last demic, basically the numbers were jacked up. And it's also this time people dropping from the juice. But Esau is going to release an actual pestilence as well. Ultimately, Yahweh Bashem Yahushai is judging this place. Verse 8, all these are, Esau is just the sword of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. Verse 8, all these are, also before I get into that, didn't we just have a random earthquake in California just when that hurricane was hitting? Or around the same time when that hurricane was hitting? Verse 8, all these are the beginning of sorrows. The famines is a part of that. And that's going to be caused by this economic collapse. The Great Depression, another Great Depression. And they're saying, I remember a video. What the fuck? There's a bug. Ah, shit. Hold on. Hair bug. Economic collapse. Let me get some first. There's a bug in here. Salakiakim. Shalaka for the interruption. There's that one scripture that I was gonna get. Let me get this one. Quit playing. Hold on. James 5 and 1. Go to now, ye rich men, weep and howl for your miseries that shall come upon you. Verse 2. Your riches are corrupted, and your garments moth eaten. Verse 3. Your gold and silver is cankered, and the rust of them shall be a witness against you, and shall eat your flesh as it were fire. Ye have heaped treasure together for the last days. Verse 4. Behold, the hire of the laborers which have reaped down your fields, which is of you kept back by fraud, crieth. And the cries of them which have reaped are entered into the ears of Yahweh of Sabaoth. Verse 5. Ye have lived in pleasure on the earth, and been wanton. Ye have nourished your hearts as in the day of slaughter. Verse 6. Ye have condemned and killed the just, and he doth not resist you. Verse 7. Be patient therefore, brethren, unto the coming of Yahweh Shai. Behold, the husbandman waiteth for the precious fruit of the earth, and hath long patience for it, till you receive the early and latter rain. Verse 8. Be ye also patient, establish your hearts, for the coming of Yahweh Shai draweth nigh. Let me get this real quick. Verse 10, Zephaniah 1 and 10. And it shall come to pass in that day, saith Yahweh, there shall be a noise of a cry from the fish gate, and a howling from the second, and a great crashing from the hills. Verse 11. Howl, ye inhabitants of Maktesh, for all the merchant people are cut down, and all they that bear silver are cut off. And also, a lot of businesses ain't gonna be able to afford the price as well, the prices as well as the coming lockdowns, the coming LDs that are being talked about. You know, that was Yeah, they're being talked about. Coming LDs. You know that AJ, you know, Skull and Bones brought out. And you know, Bill hates Jake. He actually said there would be a second demic. So not surprising, they're blaming it on a virus called on Slovakia version of the 1984 edition called Eris. They're starting to. You see the pattern. So-called scientists calling for return to masks. You know, the Biden administration calling for that Boost Mobile, for people to get that Boost Mobile. But what if people don't? They're gonna blame those people for the coming LDs. And it's gonna affect the economy in a very negative way. Ecclesiastes 12 verse 3. In the day when the keepers of the house shall tremble, and the strong men shall bow themselves, and the grinders cease because they are few, and those that look out of the windows be darkened. Verse 4. And the doors shall be shut in the streets when the sound of the grinding is low, and he shall rise up at the voice of the bird, and all the daughters of music shall be brought low. So from this causing a lot of inflation and another Great Depression, Operation Sandman, they pulled it. It's gonna cause that. Coupled together with the new LDs, it ain't looking. The future of Babylon the Great ain't looking too bright. You know, it takes, I believe, 55 US dollars. It's going to take 55 US dollars to equal to one BRICS dollar. Which is going to be based in gold. It's going to be, I believe, a CBDC, but it's going to be based in gold. And so what the U.S. response is going to be is, oh, we're going to have to go digital too. Except it ain't going to be based in gold. It's just going to be fiat. It's going to be a fiat currency, but it's going to be CBDC, the central bank digital currency. Which ultimately is going to be in the form, be inside that chip. That C-hip, the C-hip, right? That they're going to mandate. It's all leading up to this. Revelation 13 and 16. And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in the right hand or in their foreheads. Verse 17, and that no man that might buy or sell, save he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. Verse 18, here is wisdom. Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666, chi stigma. We're not ignorant of Satan's devices. That's the chip, right? That's the sea hill, the grain of rice, the potato chip. Nah. But that's the there you go. That's the that's the grain of rice, the sea hill. That's the mark of the beast. MOTB. It's the MOTB. And it's going to end up being mandated. And this is how they're going to pull it. You know, we're not ignorant of Satan's devices. 2 Corinthians chapter 2 verse 11. That Satan should get an advantage of us, for we're not ignorant of his devices. And also let me get Ecclesiastes, because 5 verse 15, aka Sirach, 5 verse 15. Be not ignorant of anything, a great matter or small. And so, yeah, this place is through. The economy as we know it is through. And ultimately, the elites of Esau are orchestrating this to bring in that charagma, man. That CBDC, which ultimately will be in that grain of rice. Which is going to be pushed as a solution for all this. Well, with that, I hope this video is edifying. I want to give all praises to Yahweh Bahashim, Yahweh Shai Bahashim Rakah Kadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well. And peace and salutations to the Akim out there spreading this truth like wildfire in all truthfulness and in all sincerity. And shalom to the rest of the hopeful elect out there. Shalom, stay strong. Abba, that's a Babylon. Abba Adawamium, that's to these Edomites. Abba Gawayim, that's to these other nations. Abba Ayubium Nawa, that's to our enemies. The rest of our enemies being 2/3 of you so-called black people, Latinos, Native Americans, and the Israelite foreigners / speckled birds here in the States, here in Babylon the Great. As well as you rebellious Israelites scattered to the four corners of the earth. Shalom, stay strong, above all, and Yashrala forever. Shalom.